I know my daughter's 13. I know she's a little confused at the moment, and I said, "Oh, Lyrica, what's this book about?" And, "Oh, it's about gay sex." So there's people that think that because we're upset with these books that we're anti-SOGI or anti-LGBTQ, and that's not the case. I mean, so us saying, like, these books shouldn't be in the school, it's because that they're explicit and there's lots of sexual images.
Well, I don't know what to say about this being a particular journalistic beat of mine, but recently I've been covering a lot of stories about parents and also people involved in schools who are concerned about books and other materials that seem to be sexualizing children in school today. And today, beside me, I have a BC father from Chilliwack who was shocked to see a book that his child came home with from school. All right, Grant, thanks for meeting with me right outside of the Chilliwack School District office. I came across your story or a post you did on Facebook, and I saw the outrage from parents. So why don't you tell us the story behind that post?
Okay, well, what happened was my daughter brought home a book, second week of school, and I had already kind of known about this already. Actually, a friend of mine is a trustee or running for school trustee in Kamloops, Jennifer, and so she already brought this to my attention. And then actually the first week of school, a friend of mine, her 8-year-old daughter, brought home a book, which wasn't as inappropriate as this one, but still something that I don't think should have been in the hands of an 8-year-old. So my daughter brought home this book on a Friday, put it down on the kitchen counter, keeping in mind I also have a 9-year-old and a 4-year-old at home. So anyways, I saw the book, and I know my daughter's 13. I know she's a little confused at the moment, and I said, "Oh, Lyrica, what's this book about?" And, "Oh, it's about gay sex." So,
just like
okay,
that.
Just like that. So it's about gay sex. Oh, okay. So I take a look through it, and I'm third page in, and the F word is right there, plain sight. So next page in, F word. Next page in, F word. A few pages in, the word dick and fag, and 3/4 of the way in, there's a line that says, "I bet you'd jump on that dick." And so, anyways, being all concerned and whatnot, I talked to my wife and my ex-wife, my daughter's mother, and we made a mutual agreement that this book wasn't appropriate for her to read. Even though I kind of I want her to get an education and stuff like that. I know she's confused, and but I mean, they can just go about it in a more acceptable, reasonable manner. It was quite explicit and disgusting, I felt. And now, after actually this happening, there's been a lot of people that have reached out to me, including a few people that are actually standing up and trying to fight to get some of these books out of school. And there's a lot worse books out there than this. I mean, this was nothing compared to some of the stuff we're seeing here. So yeah, I don't know what to say, really.
Well, you said a lot there, and it's still shocking to me that, people like your friend, Jennifer Rouse, who, by the way, we have a full interview with. You can watch that, and other people running for school trustee at bcleadershipreports.com. But I find it so flabbergasting that this is even a controversial issue, that there are people saying, no, these books must be in school. And you raised an interesting point there where you say you're concerned about your other children finding them. I mean, since when are we concerned about our younger kids finding our older kids' school books? What is happening here? And you're right, I read through some of the comments on your post. It's getting a lot of attention naturally. I saw some people say, oh, well, that's what school district is that? It's not my kid's school district, but the truth is it's in all of the school districts. So when you are telling your friends, I mean, you went through the rabbit hole, you were told by a friend, then your other friend has it, now your own kid. So when you're telling this to other people, is there anybody who doesn't get it and thinks that those books should be in school when you're talking to them?
Yeah, so there's people that think that because we're upset with these books that we're anti-SOGI or anti-LGBTQ, and that's not the case. I mean, so us saying, like, these books shouldn't be in the school, it's because that they're explicit and there's lots of sexual images. It wouldn't matter if there was heterosexual sex, a topic in the book or not. It's inappropriate. And yeah, so a lot of people, their main fight with me is that they just think that I'm some sort of gay hater or bigot or something like that. And that's not the case. I mean, I'm a very accepting person. I've coached hundreds, thousands of kids in football, boys and girls. I have a lot of my best friends are of color or gay, or my uncle's gay. I mean, so that's not the case. It's just, so I think I can't understand quite their argument. I mean, there were some people, finally I was just like, okay, I guess you're a better parent than me because you'll let your kids read swears and stuff. Like, their argument is, they're going to hear it on the playground and stuff like that. Yeah, okay, maybe that's the case, but...
they're also going to find a used needle on the playground.
That's right. Yeah, so I mean, I feel the schools need to come to a higher standard. I mean, some kids go to the school and go to their teacher as like a safety zone, right? And so, okay, they might hear it on TV, they might hear it, but there needs to be a little bit more, I don't know what the word would be, but just like I said, like more of a higher standard, I think. Like my 13-year-old, okay, she's probably heard the F word a million times, but she shouldn't think that it's okay. But and reading it in a school shows that it's okay. This is completely fine. You should be able to say this, and I don't know.
Well, I certainly don't think you're out on left field at all. And you're right, it's not a LGBTQ thing. There are many people in the LGBTQ community who are also concerned about that. We've done interviews with Gays Against Groomers who think that some of this stuff is getting very close to tools that could be used for grooming. So thank you so much for, just being an everyday parent who's coming forward and saying, what the heck is this? I'm going to end on asking you this question. What would have happened to you as a child if your parents or grandparents came across you with that book? How would you have been treated?
They would have done stuff we can't do anymore. I mean, I would have had probably, if I said those words, I would have had my mom would have had my mouth washed out with soap. I mean, back then they were spanking and stuff. My parents are awesome people, but you could do things back then, that you can't do. And I mean, there was so much more respect for back then, and schools back then it was education. I mean, it's math, science, reading, writing. I'm finding my kids, they're behind in those basics, and they're trying to teach them at a young age stuff that they don't need to learn quite yet, and so I don't know. It's strange. It's almost to the point where we're getting to the point where let's just pull the kids out of school, because where they're not getting an education here and they're learning stuff they don't need to learn quite yet, and we try to parent our kids in a way where they have respect, like you said, and and acceptance, and it feels like we can't win because of the schools just pushing this, and so I don't know.
Well, how far we've come. In a way, it's almost experimental, this switch on children being exposed to things by their teachers that they've never been exposed to before in the history. So if you're interested in finding out about more of the school trustees who are speaking out about these concerns, you can do so by going to bcleadershipreports.com. And thank you so much for watching Rebel News. Drea Humphrey and
Grant Fahlman. Thank you.
Again, I just can't believe I'm standing here having to inform the public about this, but I am so proud to work for a news organization that makes me free to be able to do so. And if you appreciate that as well, consider supporting our journalism out here in BC, which these issues are definitely happening often at, by donating what you can at our special website called bcleadershipreports.com. Thank you so much for your support.